the Coike, the dog toy, the Urchin, whatever you want to call it. There are a few videos floating around on the internet. I have a dice bait video that's been pretty popular, and we are doing an update on that video to include Urchin style baits, the Coike, the Yamamoto Uni, some other knockoffs, Prickly Pear, Amazon, Temu. There's all kinds of them out there, and I will show you the differences between the baits, how I like to rig the baits, and how I've been able to make them work for me. I'm a little behind the curve on the trend, but there still really is not much good information on YouTube, and I am going to give you a full breakdown on how to use this bait, the differences, and the different rigging styles, and what works best for me. And I will back these rigging methods and tactics up with fish catches that I did in fact catch on these baits. Please remember to subscribe. We made it to 1,000 subscribers. Our next goal is 10,000 subscribers. So please remember to subscribe if you haven't already. If you've already subscribed, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Help me keep this channel growing, and let's get into the action. There we go. That's a pretty good one, I think. Oh yeah. Nice one on the old uni there. Got him pinned up real nice on that Nico hook. Nice one. All right, guys, so that fish, I kind of blew up on top of it here because the wind's blowing, but you can probably see it here in the water. That fish was kind of set up high in this brush right here, and I had to basically work it all the way through the tree, looking at faint returns. I could barely see that fish chasing this bait through the tree. There were probably 2 or 3 of them kind of tracking it, and as you can see, you really got to work this thing kind of like a jerk bait and take it away from them and elicit a reaction strike with this style of bait most of the time, or that's the way I get most of my bites on it. But if you find some brush with some fish in it, work it through that brush, even if the fish is tracking it, like the fish isn't there. Just kind of like, if you see it tracking it, just keep popping it and popping it and popping it away from it, and eventually, a lot of the time, they'll suck that bait in, and voila, fish. All right, guys, so we're talking about urchins or coikies or cookies or coiks, spiky balls, dog toys, whatever you want to call it. It's, I guess you could say, an iteration of the fuzzy dice. So we made a fuzzy dice video a while back, and today we're talking about the urchin. A little bit behind making a video on this, but I don't like to make videos until I know how to use a bait and I have experience with it and have some fish catches on it. So what we're doing with the bait today is targeting somewhat shallow cover, not super shallow, like up against the bank there like that, although this would probably catch some fish throwing it at the bank. But we're floating around looking for semi-shallow cover, you know, 5 to 15 foot, maybe less, just depending on what we can see with our scope, because this bait is most effective when used with the scope, as are a lot of baits. But we're going around looking for fish relating to cover. This is not super effective on floaters. I've tried a lot. I've caught a few on floaters, or I've caught a few floaters on this bait, but typically if you're dealing with the floater, you're better off with a minnow. But what we're doing is, you typically, with most of the fish I've caught, you can see me sinking down there at 50. You want to cast kind of beyond the cover, and keep in mind that you can't make a really long cast with this bait because you're using a lighter weight in the bait, and you're just going to kind of work it up to the cover, let it sink and get it in the right depth range. And I don't know if you can see that, but I'll zoom in when I edit. But when you get to the cover and you pop it through there, if a fish is in it, it's usually something's usually gonna come out and at least look at your bait. And you kind of just want to work this thing like a jerk bait, just like that. And most of the time when I catch them, I just keep my rhythm. Like if the fish is following it, I don't really adjust to the fish's mood. I just keep popping it in the same way, because if you start slowing it down when a fish is chasing it, kind of like a glide bait, they're usually not going to close the deal on feeding on it. So I've had a few bites on this, just kind of throwing it and letting it sink. Sometimes they will eat it on the fall like a Senko, but realistically for that, a Senko is probably a better bait. Think about this like a jerk bait, or that's the most effective way I've found to use it, is using it like jerk bait. Something you can keep kind of in the fish's face when it sinks slowly, and just kind of twitch that thing like a jerk bait while you're watching it on your screen. It's kind of hard to do right now because of the pollen, but you can use it. It's really effective around docks. Like if you can see fish on your graph under docks or not, usually you want to be able to see the fish when you're using this bait, or sight fishing. But take a look at this fish catch right here out of one that came out of brush, and we'll jump back in to the technique. It's kind of low light. Let's switch over to this bait fish colored Coike and see if we can get one to bite that. Nope, missed him. Almost had him. Got him that time. There we go. Right under the boat on the old Coike. Coike. I think I like saying Coike better. Drop a comment below. Let me know what this thing's called. Is this thing called a Coike, or a Coike, or a cookie, or should we just call it the dog toy? Let me know what you think. Right in the snout. So there's a few other ways that you can catch them on this bait, and I've actually accidentally caught a few fish when I thought I missed my cast, and I started burning the bait in kind of on the surface like that. I've actually caught a few. I don't have one on camera, but I've caught a few fish burning it. But I wouldn't recommend doing that unless, I don't know, you're just burning it to get to a piece of cover or something. And if you see a fish tracking it while you're burning it, go ahead and keep burning it, because if you stop it, they're probably not going to eat it. They might, but most likely if you break the action, they're probably not gonna bite the bait. But we're targeting brush, shallow brush, docks, things of that nature. We're targeting fish that are relating to cover. There's a floater right there, and I'll show you right here. He's kind of close to the boat, so it's probably not a super example, but he's going down. That's not a bass. But most of the time, or most of the fish that I've caught on this have been relating to some kind of cover or up under a dock, some kind of fish that's just posted up in a neutral mood, because obviously there are a lot better baits for catching feeding bass that are a lot less time consuming. So this is more of a kind of a finesse type approach with reaction blended in. I think that's probably why it works, because there are not a lot of finesse baits that you can use as a reaction bait. Looks like there's a fish up there on the bank. Looks like we got his attention a little bit. Maybe not. Might have just been some. No, there's definitely a fish back there behind that little bush. Looks like he ran up into the brush I just came across there. Let's see if I can get my bait down to it. I can't find my bait. May have already come across it. There it is. But it looks like bluegills or something small. But it's kind of a reaction finesse type bait. And there's not a lot of options out there. The thing's moving way too fast to be a bass. We might cast it anyway. There are not a lot of baits out there that you can finesse fish and elicit a reaction strike. Now, a fluke is kind of the same principle. So this thing might work in similar situations to a fluke, but again, a fluke is a feeding bite, and this is reaction strike oriented in most cases. Now, the smaller dice, I've gotten quite a few feeding bites off of those. Like you can cast it around some cover. You don't have to do the super aggressive approach with it for whatever reason. I don't know if that's because it's smaller and they can't see it as well, and they just think it's a piece of protein or a bug or something. But with these, I have a hard time getting anything to bite them unless they're reacting to it. We got a little fish there on it. We got some other kind of fish below it there. I don't know what that is. That's probably not a bass, but oh yeah, it is a bass. He's coming to it. See that right there? How those fish are just kind of easing up. That's usually what they do if you don't just keep popping it like that. They'll just follow it. But when they get under the boat or close to the boat, a lot of the times they will hit it, but you cannot break your action or they'll just swim off. I'll show you right here because they're probably not going to bite it anyway. See how that fish just stopped? Like the interest immediately disappeared as soon as I stopped that bait. And now that could have been because of the boat, but they came all the way up to the boat, but they did not stop chasing this bait until I stopped moving it. And as soon as you stop moving that thing, they're going to be like, what the hell is that? I don't think I want to eat that. So keep that in mind. If you keep the bait moving, they can't get as good a look at it, and a lot of the time eventually they'll attack it just because they're reacting to it. Check out this fish here. We caught this one out from under a dock. Absolute giant, and watch the retrieve the whole time, and you can see when I speed that retrieve up, that's when that big smallmouth obliterated it. Check it out real quick and we'll be right back. Definitely hadn't seen that before. Come on out of there, buddy. Come on. The old dog toy. Oh my gosh, there's another 5-pounder. Come on. Yes, sir. Look at that one. Holy crap, dude. That's 5-pounder. 5-pound green. 5-pound brown. Look at that thing. Nice one. Giant. The urchins work. Gagged it. Need to tighten that drag a little bit. So the main issue or question that a lot of people are having with this bait is, how do I rig this bait? Now, I've done the treble hook on top. I've done the line through with the treble hook. I've got some rigging pre-recorded. Check that out. I'll show you the rigging methods that I like to use, and we'll get back into some technique. All right, guys, so for this rig, we're going to use a treble hook, Nico style. You've probably seen that done online, and I'll show you what I like to do. This is a number 4 VMC treble hook, finesse treble hook, red line. And basically what we're going to do is tie that on and just rig it Nico style. I don't use this style of rig a lot because I like to fish this particular bait around cover, and treble hooks are a little snaggy, but they do help you hook up sometimes. So we'll see if we can get one on this Nico style treble hook rig. And there's a lot of different or differing opinions on how to rig this bait, and I've tried it with the free rig weights, and for whatever reason I always go back to a nail weight. I guess just because that's how the majority of fish I've caught on it has been using a nail weight. This is a 16th ounce tungsten nail weight. That's what I'm using in the Uni as well. I'll show you that here in a second. But it's super simple. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of crazy rigs. This is used, and you can see it's still in good condition. But the hole that's in the bait from the storage wire, take the tip, if you can see that, take the tip of your nail weight and just go into the hole. And I don't glue these because once you get them in, they usually stay in just because of the elastomer type material, and we want to take that nail weight out whenever we get done with the bait so we can store it again. So basically you just push it up in there just like that. You can see that little tip poking out. Yes, it's visible, but so is the hook. So once you get that tip in there, I tend to like to rig it tip down because I do not want this tungsten weight coming in contact. I don't know if you can see that. I don't want the tungsten weight or the point on the weight coming in contact with my line. So I'm going to run the hook through the flat side where the base of the weight is, and we're just going to come down kind of next to that weight. Get a little bit of material right there. Go in between a couple of these appendages. You don't have to get a lot of material, and you still want to get the use of the rest of your hook. So just come down like this and kind of position the weight in the center of that treble hook like that. And it's fairly well disguised, as you can see there, but you've got 1, 2, 3 usable number 4 hook points, and that is the Nico style treble hook rig. You can rig this and put a free rig weight on it, or a lot of the other ways you might have seen, but I always find myself coming back to the Nico style, whether I'm using a treble hook or a Nico hook. I'll show you the Nico hook and the Uni here in just 1 second. So for the Uni, basically the exact same rig. You can rig either bait in the exact same way. They're both good baits. The Coike has a bit more resistance in the water, so it holds its shape a little better. But for the Uni, I've got this, I think that's a 2-aught Aaron Martin's drop shot hook, G finesse, and caught a good few fish on this, some big ones. Had no problem hooking the fish or getting it in. That's the same 16th ounce nail weight right there. I actually hooked that one with the tip up, but it's not anywhere near the line because of the Nico hook here. So, and it's pretty slim odds that the tip of that hook's going to catch your line, but on the 13mm Coike, it does stick out a good bit more than that right there, because this is a little bit bigger diameter of a bait. But that's my go-to rig. Most of the time I just use a standard Nico, just like you would use a Nico rig, Cinco, or a janitor worm or something of that nature. And this is what I almost always end up using. But you do have the treble hook option, and you also have the line through treble hook option, and we may or may not get into that, but if I do get into that, we'll put it in the video. But this is absolutely my #1 preferred way to rig this bait, and I'll show you some fish catches to show you that there is absolutely zero problem getting that hook in the fish. The main thing you have to do is, when you go upsize in your Urchin style bait, or your Coike, or your cookie, or whatever you want to call it, dog toy, when you go up in size, you want to go up in size of your hook. As you can see there, that's a 2-aught drop shot hook, and we have plenty of bite. Even if the bait slides down here, you'll have plenty of bite, and you're going to get most of your fish in the boat that bite it good. They're going to get a hook in their face. But that's my #1 preferred way to rig this bait, and we'll go through my preferred rod and reel setup for this. You've seen it in some of my other videos, but let's get into a fish catch or two, and we'll move on to the bait and to the rod and reel setup. Got it. Feisty. There's another one on the Coike. Not bad. Got that one in the bottom lip. It happens occasionally. Alright guys, so I did do some research, and on the actual Hideup site, thank you Google Translate for translating the information for me. The suggested rig for this bait is using a hook with a split ring. Now that's a split ring I took off a Vision 110+1 Junior, and this particular hook, I believe it's a VMC or a Trocar, something like that, but it was the only Nico style hook that I had in the box that had an eye big enough to hold a split ring like this. But what you do is you put a split ring in your hook. I think this is probably recommended for the larger Coikes, but you attach a split ring to the eye of your hook like that, and this is the suggested weight. It's a Varivas TG Slim quick changer sinker. You can see the rig there on the package. I don't know if you can see that, but basically what you do is just, wow, that package is locked up tight. You take one of these guys and you just hang it in that split ring. They really do not want those suckers to fall out, which is probably a good thing. But this is a 2.5 gram weight, so if you're wanting to work the bait a little faster, probably a good size to use. But this weight has a little clip on it. You just slide that clip through your split ring just like this. Man, that thing's tough. If there's one thing the Japanese can do, that is make strong metal. There we go. And that just kind of hangs from your split ring like so. And then, like we mentioned before, you just kind of skin hook your Coike. Now, I typically do not run a hook with a weed guard. I'm just using this one to show you this particular suggested from the website rigging method. We're just going to run that through there, just like that. And that is your rig. Obviously, I probably don't want to use a hook that big on the small Coike, but this probably worked perfect for a 17mm. But that is the actual rig suggested on the Hideup website. So, haven't tried this yet. We'll see if we can catch one on it. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so the setup for the Urchin, that is a Yamamoto Uni. It's a 3/16 ounce tungsten Bass Pro Shops nail weight. We got a 10-pound InvisX leader going to Berkeley X9 braid. I believe that's 8-pound braid. That is a Shimano, I believe that's a 2500 Stratic. And this is the Daiwa Tatula Universal 7'6" long cast rod. This rod works great for Nico rigs, hair jigs, anything like that. I've been using it around docks. It's not the stoutest rod in the world, but you can still get them out because you got some bone about 2/3 of the way down into the rod there. But that's what I'm running most of the time when I'm throwing the Urchin. Thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Please remember to subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. Stick with us as the channel grows, and we'll keep this good, solid, honest information coming your way. Thanks for watching.